Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Travel Coffee Break. Happens, as you know, every week at this time. I'm Alistair Mackenzie, and recently I've begun to start double-heading this weekly edition with my friend Mike Young, who is over there in Holland. Mike, introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do when you're not here.
Yes, I'm Mike Young with MikeTravelGuide.com. We have a travel guide website mainly for Europe, and we give tips and tricks for people traveling throughout Europe. We have a U.S. audience, but certainly we have a fair number of Europeans that visit our website as well.
And that, of course, means that you're completely useless for this particular edition because we're going to be talking about Africa and not Europe. And that's because we've got Arno Delport with us, who is marketing manager for Acacia Africa, who specialize in overland trips in Africa. And his marketing manager, Arno, I noticed from your title, is not just UK, but it's pretty much the world, isn't it? It's North America and Europe as well, is that right?
Yes, we have it split into two portions really. So I cover the Northern Hemisphere, and we have my colleague down in South Africa that cover the Southern Hemisphere. Just too much work for one person.
Okay. Arno Delport, Supreme Being, Acacia Africa. Tell us about Acacia Africa. How long has it been around, Arno?
Well, Acacia Africa has been around for about 19 years now. As you can imagine, it's been going around for quite some time. We specialize in Africa, that's all we do, and we offer a wide range of safari styles through Eastern and Southern Africa, with our main core product being overland safaris, camping, and we've got a few other products that we've added with that, making it to a larger type of style safaris as well, accommodated overland, small group safaris. So we're really trying to offer a big wide range to everyone out there that wants to see and visit Africa.
Over that, companies have become well established. I'm guessing that the roots of the business were in overland trips, and it's kind of then expanded and developed from there.
Yes, the roots of the business definitely started over in, with overlanding through Eastern and Southern Africa still. Back then, even as we do now, with an age range of our overland safaris being solely focused on 18 to 39-year-olds. That's how we started as well. And the owner of Acacia, Ian Yates, makes a joke of it, saying that as he got older, we've upped the upper age limit as well. And we're basically now back to our roots, where we do overland camping for 18 to 39-year-olds. But that being said, we've also started a lot of new product and a lot of new type styles as well, with the accommodated overlanding, realizing that there are people older than 39, obviously, and that want to see Africa as well. And we've made it a bit more comfortable for them, so they can experience Africa as well as the young.
I've just put the link up on. There's a new Wizzy app for Hangouts on Air called Showcase, which enables me to put the link to your front page up on the screen. The only drawback is that from my side, at least, and I'm guessing from you guys from your side, I can't see it. So I'm hoping that that it's out there. I'm pretty confident that it is, and I'll see it in the recorded version of this. But it's easy enough to find Acacia Africa. It's Acacia, as in the tree, -Africa.com, and that'll get you in through the front door. So just East Africa and South Africa. Typically, looking at the overland trips themselves, what sort of timescale are we talking about, and from where do they go to where?
Well, that's a broad range again with the overland safaris, especially. It could be a tour for 6 days long, just doing, let's say, for instance, trekking the gorillas in Uganda. We have longer style tours, 13 days, just doing a little bit of East Africa, or you can do the whole long tour starting from Cape Town, going all the way through Southern and Eastern Africa up to Nairobi, and that's normally about 56 days. Or you can do it southbound. So we have them going north and south. smallest being 6 days and longest being 56 days.
Wow. 56 days, that's quite a long time.
That is. There's so much to see and there's so much to do. And overland safaris obviously is the best way to see Africa. You are effectively covering a lot of countries in a short space of time. If you look at 56 days and you're covering about 10, 11 countries, it doesn't really look like a long time then at the end.
You've got to be, how can I put this delicately? You've got to be a social animal, though, haven't you? Because you're with a small group, but in one vehicle, and you are living, maybe you're doing a full 56 days, but typically you might be doing 12 days or something like that, and it's quite a long time to get to know people and to get along with them, but equally to kind of rub along with them awkwardly. Is there? Do you have a particular sort of type of traveller who goes overlanding?
We do actually. It's plain and simple as the open-minded traveller. So it's anyone with an open mind that wants to experience Africa, and normally and generally our type of travellers, again using the same word, are open-minded, and they're out there to meet new people, see new things, and experience Africa, whatever style they chose to see.
So Arno, what's the ratio of male to female clientele? Is it? I'm assuming it's mostly male.
Actually not. We find that at Acacia we have a good 50-50 ratio.
Wow.
We find a lot of females obviously want to experience these type of tours on the overland style as well, because we can take single travelers, and it's a safer way obviously to travel for a single female, and obviously they get to meet other people on tour as well, and a lot of them become friends on tour and stay friends. I think my Facebook page is filled with ex-travelers and ex-clients has become friends afterwards. So it's really a nice way in bonding with new people as well.
I think the interesting, it's a good description that you have of people being open-minded, because the nature of overlanding is all about serendipity, isn't it? That's the, when you're driving in a truck from one destination to another, there's always going to be things that weren't expected.
Exactly. So it goes with being open-minded. Expect the unexpected. So we always say that there might be a delay in something. We might have to change a tire here, and in the most unforeseen circumstances as well. It might even be in the Serengeti where we get to change that tire. So these things can happen out on the road, definitely.
But then at the same time, while you're changing the tire or sending somebody into the town to get the the part that you need, you then discover that there's a unique festival going on around the corner that nobody knew about. It's that kind of thing. It's pluses as well as minuses. It's not just about breaking down.
Oh yeah, no, of course. It's definitely, it adds to the experience. There's a lot of campsites within East Africa as well, and I'm taking Lake Nakuru as an example, national park. There are campsites within the national park, and I recall from when I was a tour guide, we just finished up taking the camp down. We packed up the truck, just out to set out for a game drive, and I think we drove about 2-3 minutes, and we found a leopard in the tree. So it just puts it into reality as well that it's an experience beyond belief.
Describe a typical, if you can, a typical day. I mean, what's it like being on the road on a road trip? What would you expect to do, and how does it work?
Typically, we normally get up really early in the morning, so you get to see the sunrise, which is a plus. Everybody will gather around the truck. We'll have breakfast at the truck. We ask everyone to help out. So there's a participation-like tour if you want, where they take down their tents. We pack up the truck basically. We head off to the next destination. Normally en route, obviously in Africa, there's a lot of things to expect. So we'll stop off at some curio markets, or maybe it could be wildlife viewing or some activity of some sort, and continue to the next destination. Lunch normally is next to the road as well. So in the middle of nowhere, we'll just pack out some sandwiches, things like that. Head off and get to the campsite, which normally has, again, a highlight. It's either a river cruise that we do that evening, or just sitting around the campfire reminiscing about some of the things that we've seen so far in the day, or about to see.
And is it how flexible is that itinerary? In other words, is there a sense that we need to keep going because we've got to get to here by tomorrow? Is it kind of a relentless pace, or is it fairly relaxed? Is there room for example, if the group decided they wanted to spend some extra time in this campsite or in this village or this market or this festival, that you can work that in?
We used to in the olden days. When we used to have groups saying, "Oh, I love this place, and let's stay here another day," and that's the decision made. Unfortunately, these days we are running at a schedule, and what we have done is we have allocated enough time in the bigger highlighted zones. For instance, when you go to Zanzibar, for example, we spent 4 nights in Zanzibar. So there's enough time for them to experience this. Sometimes when we have a tour, and if it's let's say for a shorter duration tour, we normally give the clients the choice to add something in front of the tour or add something in the back of the tour. So they can spend 7 nights at the end of the day if they finish their tour in Zanzibar. In Uganda, it gets a bit more difficult, obviously, with flexibility around the itinerary, because it's all based around the gorilla permits and the gorilla trekking times and dates that we have scheduled and booked. So therefore, that'd be a bit more difficult.
That brings me on to a question that we've been asked. This is from Ron Marder, and he says, what are the popular routes for foreign travellers keen on overland travel in Africa? Yes, what are the most popular routes?
Well, that would depend where Ron's from.
Well, he's from the States, but he spent a lot of time living in Mexico.
Oh, okay. So he's got a longer flight. So what I find from my personal experience is that first time travelers to Africa tend to like to go out to East Africa. It's easy access. Well, from the UK is definitely easy access. They're definitely guaranteed of great game viewing in the Masai Mara, Serengeti, Ngorongoro Crater. And then I find those that's already been to East Africa then will come back for a second time. They then tend to like to visit Namibia or Botswana, so they're more experienced. That's just from my personal experience and point of view. Definitely East Africa is one of those that does not disappoint.
And then they work their way down south, and presume one of the iconic places to visit is the Victoria Falls, and that's usually on most. I'm guessing that's going to be on most of your itineraries through that area.
Yeah, Victoria Falls is definitely up there. Our most popular trip, if Ron's after a direct answer, would be our Kenya and Tanzania adventure. So this tour starts from Nairobi and it finishes in Dar es Salaam. It's from Nairobi, it goes to the Masai Mara, into the Serengeti, then the Ngorongoro Crater, down to the coastline of Dar es Salaam, and it finishes in Zanzibar. I like to call it the big three for Africa, so it gives you culture, animals, and beach. So you can't go wrong with that tour. 13-day tour, and it's packed with highlights.
And landscape. That's that's one of the most transitions I think you probably get in Africa, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, yes. Down, especially from Nairobi, if you're driving on your way to the Masai Mara, you're passing the Great Rift Valley. And coming back again, when you're driving from Arusha, you'll see flat, arid landscapes, and then you get towards Dar es Salaam, and you're into a tropical-like, if you want. So it's definitely landscapes. It's beautiful.
These overland tours are only part of what you do, and what's interesting is that you were talking just now about how quite often people will come with you on a trip, and then let's say to East Africa, and then come back again another season and do somewhere else, do South Africa. So that's always a great sign of a healthy travel company, because it's growing organically, and you've got that repeat business. The downfall is there comes a point where they sort of get to the end of the line, and they at that point you have to change your name from Acacia Africa to Acacia South America and Africa or something like that. But we won't go there just yet. But that is, I think, partly when we were talking earlier about how you've developed what you do. That can be seen in the what do you call it? Overland with accommodation tours, which is about a different style of being overland.
Exactly. So what we've done is we have the camping overland, which is designed and designated for 18 to 39-year-olds, and we understand, obviously, like I said earlier, there's definitely older people than 39. So we've mirrored overland camping and created accommodated overland. And with accommodated overland, it's open age. We take families. We can take children from the ages of 8 on these as well. We're covering mostly Southern Africa with it at the moment, and with our new brochure that's coming out in October, we've now included East Africa as well. So it's more or less the same itinerary as most of the camping overland. It just gives you that extra comfort that you want, with a bed and some bedding, and also within some of them's got like a walk-in tent. So we don't want to take away too much of the Africa feel as well. So bungalow hut style accommodation, so a little bit more comfort. And so far it's going really well.
And that's excellent, because as you say, it opens it up to those people who perhaps don't want. I mean, it doesn't have to be that they're just getting older and they don't want to camp. You could be young and don't want to camp. But it opens it up that way. But yeah, I think you're also doing, well, how do I describe it? Non-overland tours. I mean, traditional small group safari type tours.
Yeah, no, of course. With those again, so overland camping and overland accommodated would take 18 and 24 passengers on these overland trucks, and a lot of people, or some people at least, don't want to be in such a big group. Therefore, we've then created small group safaris, and with small group safaris, we run them in designated small group vehicles, and these will be up to a maximum of about 12 passengers. So these, again, they're doing routes down towards South Africa. You'll find some of them there, and through some popular routes from South Africa, Johannesburg, into Botswana, and finishing off at the Victoria Falls in either Zambia or Zimbabwe. And also through Zimbabwe, we have a few of those routes as well.
Just on the vehicles, just a real quick question. You mentioned this tour of about 12 individuals. Is that one vehicle or two vehicles? How many people do you have per vehicle? What's kind of the norm?
So with the small group safaris, we have these designated vehicles that can take up to about 12 passengers. They can actually take up to 15 passengers, but we put the limit at about 12 passengers so that they can sit comfortably with enough space between each passenger. Our overland trucks are built with a capacity of up to 24 passengers, and we can still seat comfortably 24 passengers. Overland tours, we find about 16 to 18 tends to be the average on tours. Out of high season, obviously, high season, we hope to fill all those trucks up. Small group safaris, we find about 8 to 9, 10 tends to be the average on these tours, again, depending also on the season that they're running.
I've just noticed another question that's come in from Ramada, who's obviously watching at the moment, because he says, does any photos from these overland trips, and it would also be great to see some maps. Ron, I'm sure we've got some photographs somewhere I'll find, but in terms of maps, I've got the old Google map. So shall I just put up a Google map for now, and then you can see where it is that we're talking about, he said, trying to find the Google map that he had set aside earlier for expressly this purpose. Oh, grief. Why is it I'm not getting that map? That's ridiculous. Okay,
real quick,
Ron,
you're looking at that, Alistair. I was also curious, these vehicles, are these open-air vehicles, or are these completely enclosed vehicles? What would they look like? I'm just kind of curious. I mean, I'm hearing you explain this. I'm just envisioning what it would look like, and just very curious about what that would be.
So with the overland tours, there's actually a picture on the Travel Coffee Break Google Plus page.
Okay.
These are enclosed vehicles completely with glass windows, so completely closed. When we then transfer to game viewing, so we mean in the national park, we then use local vehicles. So local vehicles for that, specifically designed for that terrain. So some of them in East Africa tends to be, that can be a roof that pops up. In South Africa, in Southern Africa, in Botswana as well, in South Africa, in Kruger National Park, they tend to use open vehicles for the game driving. So completely open, good for game viewing, etc. But when we're doing the tour side of things, between getting us from A to B, we then use like a minibus type of vehicle. We call them in South Africa sprinters. Might not mean anything anywhere else, but yeah, it's a type of minibus.
Okay. Yeah, I see. I think I see a photo of it. Okay.
Yeah, I've just put one up in the main box there. I'm just hunting through the site to see if I can find other images. You know your site better than I do, Arno. But can I find one there? No. Browse tours, country info, travel info. Maybe it'll be images there.
Maybe this is something we need to add then.
Yeah, we need more images.
Our vehicle. I think we definitely need to add a proper page there for that.
Okay, not to worry. I'll have a little route around in a moment, see if I can find those. Let's get back to off me. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to think through your brochure, because one of the reasons that that we're talking today is that actually we're just at that point in the season where you're about to launch your next brochure, your next part of the program. So what's covered in that, Arno? What's going to be different? What are you adding or taking away?
Well, the overall feel of the brochure we're quite excited about. We can't say too much about that yet. We're quite excited about the cover that's been chosen. Inside the brochure, we've bulked up our Accommodated Overland, obviously breaking it up into smaller pieces as well, some of the longer tours, just for convenience sake for the clients, so they can see that you can actually stop here, start there. You don't have to do the whole 21 days, for instance. And also adding in East Africa. So East Africa will be new for us in the Accommodated Overland. Although we've been doing it for years now with the camping, and we feel that there was definitely a market for it in the accommodated, giving out that option as well. In our small group safaris, we've added a few more tours in there, just in South Africa itself. There's some popular routes up into the western coast of South Africa, into the Trans-Galagadi National Parks, that we're quite excited about as well. Those are the big changes that we've added, and obviously the feel of the brochure, making it, as a popular young feel onto it.
You just mentioned the West Coast there, because we've talked about East Africa and Southern Africa, so Zambia, Botswana. But I'm also, do you go up into on the West Coast up into Namibia?
We don't do the complete west coast of Namibia, and I think if you're referring to the Skeleton Coast, yeah, unfortunately we don't. I've been there once with a tour back in the day. I don't know if I was lost but it's definitely a road that's a bit tricky. Right. So unfortunately we don't offer that one yet. We skim it a little bit and then head in towards Sossus Play and then head back out to Swakopmund, where we spent some time on the coast, but we missed the Skeleton Coast, unfortunately. Okay.
Couple of, as it were, potentially awkward questions for you, gentle awkward ones. You and I were talking the other day about the whole issue of Ebola, not from the point of view of risk for travellers, but more from the point of view of what it's done to the numbers of people going to Africa and making bookings and making inquiries and so on. But that's obviously up a bit now, because suddenly President Obama has announced a lot of activity on that front. So it's very much to the fore in everybody's minds. I'm wondering how you guys are coping with it. I mean, what you're saying to potential clients and the like.
Yeah, no, sure. Ebola is an obvious concern. It's affecting most of the parts in West Africa, and our sympathies go out to the families that's affected in those areas. But it is in West Africa. It's not reached East Africa. In fact, I think England's closer to West Africa than East Africa is. And also we had that case here with the aid worker that's made a fortunate full recovery. The other thing to remember about Ebola as well is, as terrible as Ebola is, it's only passed on by direct contact. So you can't really get it direct contact from an infected individual. You can't get it from breathing the same air or being in the same room or even in the same country. We are getting some questions from our customers about Ebola, but like I said just now, we just put them at rest.
That's really what I was wondering. Presumably you are getting questions, and how easy it is to to make them feel reassured.
Yes, well, it depends on the individual how they want to take it as well, obviously, because it is quite a serious topic. But with that information, the stats don't lie, so we can prove that there's no outbreak in East Africa, and our tours are unaffected, and some of the places we visit are unaffected, and that by itself should hopefully be enough for the client to make an educated decision on that.
Something that crossed my mind when you were talking just now about Namibia and not travelling up there. We should acknowledge that you guys are not the only ones who are out there doing overland in Africa. There's a number of quite well-known companies. I'm wondering how you. And off the top of my head, I would say there's probably about 5 of you guys, principal guys doing overland tours in Africa. What would you say kind of distinguishes each from the other, and in this particular case, you from the others?
Well, unfortunately, yes, there are others doing the same thing. We wish there weren't, but they are. For us, the main difference is that we're specialists. We only do Africa and nothing else. A lot of these others, and don't know if they who shan't be mentioned.
Well, I'm happy to mention them. People like Dragoman, for example, obvious, and Encountered Overland. There's a couple of long established companies and ostensibly good ones. But the rivalry that you have isn't it's a friendly competitive rather than. I'm guessing that from time to time, particularly around the iconic spots, Victoria Falls, for example, you guys must pitch up together. There'll be one of your trucks coming in on the route from Botswana, while there's one of theirs coming down from Nairobi or something like that. I mean, occasionally you must meet up on the trail.
Oh, of course. On the ground itself, there's probably almost no rivalry. So, like you just said now, sometimes if you're at the same campsite, you'll pitch together, you'll enjoy a barbecue together or some sort, and you're always there to help each other out as well. So there's no how can I say, rivalry between anyone on the ground itself. It's at marketing level, obviously, when things are a bit different.
Yeah.
But these companies you've mentioned, Dragoman, obviously they're part of Peak, which is a global, massive company. So it's where we differ from these is that we're African specialists. We don't do anything else, and we feel that our focus is small, and for that reason we should be able to do it better than those companies that have a global and a worldwide offering to clients.
One of the things that you're able to do as an overland company is, we were talking earlier about that business of serendipity, of sort of getting under the skin of a destination in a very organic way, and with very organic encounters. One of the things that sort of goes hand in hand with that is the opportunity to see lifestyles, particularly from a Western perspective, lifestyles that can be very harsh. And you've actually got a volunteer program, haven't you?
We have what we call as a voluntour, and a voluntour is a basic volunteer program, and we've combined it with an overland safari. So these two, where a client can go out to, let's say, to the Masai Mara, for instance, and they can do a 2-week volunteering program, working with the animals in this area, and then after that 2 weeks, they then join one of our camping overland safaris. So as a volunteer, we don't specialize as a volunteering company by itself, but we found a good way to mix these two together, and we're using some of the well-known and partners out in Africa for these volunteering programs that's more well established to help us with that part of the tour.
Mike is, I know, very keen on responsible tourism, as are many of us, Ron Mard or another. So this is really a question that Mike might want to ask, but in terms of your eco credentials and your responsible travel credentials, I mean, what kind of steps outside the volunteering do you take to, minimize the impact on the ground?
On the ground itself, we partnered up with a company called Green Pop. So it's an urban forestation company. Where one of our clients, any of our clients that's booked a tour with Acacia, they can then offset their emissions by planting a tree. So they can buy this tree, and they can even go out to the areas where we plant these trees. Down in Cape Town is an area. They can actually join the day by themselves. So it's not just something you add into a basket and then you heard it got planted, the tree got planted. You can actually go out yourself. So that's one of the, obviously, part of the things that we do.
Mike, have you got anything?
No,
to ask about that?
No, that aspect.
Okay. Just again on the being involved in terms of responsible tourism. I think you also have a broader, a more sort of, I was going to say global, but I suppose I mean continental interest in what goes on in Africa and the environment. And that's kind of manifested itself recently because I saw something on the blog about your involvement with a rhino preservation place or company or group. Or tell me about that.
Well, we support Save the Rhino International. We're one of I'm sure, many corporate sponsors. With the upcoming Rhino Day, I think it's 22 September, World Rhino Day, excuse me, we've decided to run a campaign to create more of an awareness with rhino poaching, or obviously anti-poaching. So we decided to choose a specific rhino that's based over in Mosi Utunya National Park in Zambia. The rhino's name is Inongwe, and this rhino itself, I think she's given birth a while ago. I think in 2000, I can't remember the exact date when she last gave birth, but she's now due to give birth again in 2015. So this is quite significant for those that know about rhinos. Is that obviously they only produce calves about every 2 to 4 years. That itself, and also Inongwe was also saved earlier this year by rangers after being caught in a snare as well. So that's part of the reason we chose this rhino. And it's just creating an awareness of success stories like Inongwe, so people are aware that these anti-poaching movements do work. So we invite agents and clients to come along with us and obviously get involved and share their success stories they might have as well.
I've just found the post on your blog, and I've put it up. It's Stomp Out Rhino Poaching with R, and I can't read the rest of the program, the title, because it's been chopped off. But anyway, it's up on the front of the screen. I hope if that showcase app is working, and you can click on that. But you can find it anyway on the Acacia Africa website, acacia-africa.com. Go to the blog and you'll find it there. I think it's a really good program that you've built up over the years there, Arno, and it's great that it has developed from the ground up and has developed organically. Notwithstanding that you can't talk that much about the forthcoming season, looking further down the road, how do you actually see the business developing? What do you think you're going to be doing? What territories you're going to be opening up? Where you're going to be going, and how you're going to be doing it in the next, say, 5 years?
Well, this will be a tough one. I think for the moment we look to next year, and that's about as far as ahead we've looked. I suppose, as any other company, obviously increasing sales is always on the top of the priorities list. In terms of destination, who knows? It could be anywhere. We've recently added Mozambique, so I think we're covering most of southern and eastern Africa now. It would be hard, then we obviously move a bit further north. we used to have Egypt in, but Egypt obviously is struggling a little bit more with some of the problems that they have. That's a tough one. I wouldn't be able to say which
it is almost impossible to say, because I mean, as you point out there, you never quite know what's going to happen. I mean, that's the joy with the travel and tourism industry, that any 1 minute, one destination is completely ruled out, Syria, for example, and the next minute it's back in. Yugoslavia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia. So it's always changing like that, and it means that it creates fantastic opportunities. We all thought we were going to be able to go to Libya not so far back, but that's denied us again now. But who knows? Maybe in 5 years that you'll be able to take your trucks north of the Sahara.
Oh, there we go. Hopefully.
Okay.
By itself.
Mike, have we whetted your appetite for?
Yeah, certainly. After some of the explanation, I was very, very curious what this would look like and how this would work. I'm glad I saw the image of that transport vehicle. But certainly along the lines, some of my questions are also on the political nature, because there's so many issues and hotspots in Africa. Certainly I can imagine every year it's kind of dynamic on where you're going and kind of avoiding certain areas. So that was, another thing from the get-go. I was real curious about how do you, worry or concern yourself with these safety issues by traveling in such a politically dynamic area as Africa.
Oh, that's valid question. We take these day by day as they obviously come up. As any countries have their own problems as well. I think you can take Thailand, for example, in the military coup. We use basically the same with the other ones as well. So at the moment we know there was some problems in Kenya, but again, some of the routes that we do travel through are unaffected by these political issues. And should there be a political issue that is too big, and obviously if there is an FC or travel advice against it as well, we then would reroute or then cancel that tour and give our clients the opportunity to either choose a different tour or move to a later date when these situations have settled down.
Okay.
It occurs to me, of course, that the nature of your business is such that you can be really nimble on your feet in a way that other travel companies can't. So if, for example, there is a problem that develops, let's say in a part of Kenya, and it might be not politically related, it might be geographic, maybe some kind of volcanic eruption or something, anything that suddenly appears and causes people to have to rethink and reroute. You can do it. You've got trucks and tents. Couldn't be easier. If you were having to, if you were a traditional tour operator, you'd have bought all those seats forward on the charter airlines or the scheduled airlines, all that kind of stuff. It's, It must be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, no, well, as straightforward as it can be. But definitely more advanced notice with these type of things will obviously help every time. But yeah, definitely we reroute, like I say, or we even stop the tour even a couple of days, or not. We stop the tour in the same amount of days, but maybe in a different country where it's obviously safer. Safety is our main priority for all of our clients and our tour guides as well.
Excellent. Cool, guys. It's been fun. It's been interesting. Thank you ever so much, Mike. Are you going to be back next week? Are you going to be around?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be back here next week, and we can work on a topic.
Okay, between now and then we'll talk. Mike and I will talk and come up with a genius topic and sort out various guests and so on and so forth. Arno, you're very welcome to anytime you want to pop in and talk about Africa.
I did have just one general question. Just on a price standpoint, I'm assuming that you can kind of relate a price per day approximately. Is that true or not?
You can for certain tours. You can definitely work out a price per day.
Just a kind of a rough order of magnitude, what would a price per day be?
If you're quoting in US dollars, you could look at some of our longer tours could range anywhere from $30 to $50 a day.
Oh, wow. That's quite reasonable.
Excellent. Good. He's even more hooked than he was before.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested. It's definitely, I'm very curious about this. So I'm definitely heading to the website. I'm checking it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
I put you two together. My work here is done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Arno, it's a great pleasure to have you. And like I say, you'll be most welcome to pop back anytime you like on anytime we're covering anything in Africa or anything else you think you've got some intelligence on. So it's good to have you. And for everybody else out there in Viewerland, we'll be back as usual, same place, same time next week. And between now and then, we'll tell you what it's going to be that we'll be talking about. So for now, bye for now.
See ya.
Bye.